Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today, Masachtas Bava Daf Samach Beis. We're going to begin on the middle of Samach Aleph Amud Beis by the second Mishnah in the middle of the Amud. Mastis Hamadalik as a Gadish. So a person who lit up a Gadish, a granary, Vahayu Bo Kalim, and there was also Kalim there, the dalku, and it got all lit up. So Rabbi Yehuda Omer Mishal Masha B'tocho, the din is you have to pay that which is within. You only pay for the wheat or the barley, whatever was there. If it was wheat, if barley, and that's it. Which means excluding the kalim. So when it comes to kalim, we see it's a machlokas whether or not we hold that we have a din of eish by kalim. Okay, now the Mishnah says, Haye gedi kofli sloi. And we had this before. Let's say you have an animal which is tied to the pile of grain. The eved samachloi. And you have an eved that's nearby. So he could have ran away, says Rashi. So v'nisraf imo chayiv, and he burns up all this grain. So the din is he's going to be chayiv. Says Rashi, al hagadi, the bali chayim nami israbu mi kama. So he's going to be chayiv for the gadi that was killed, not just for the grain. However, the enu chayiv misa al eved. He's not going to be chayiv misa if the eved dies. The hoyel the enu koflis. He wasn't tied up. Hoyel with royach, and therefore the eved should have ran away. Upater lo memisa. Umitashlumen. He's actually going to be potter from death, because if the Eved died, well, he shouldn't have died. He should have ran away. And you're also, for that reason, going to be potter from Tashlumen. Eved kafois. But let's say you had an Eved that was tied up. Potter, afil al gdiv al gadish. You're going to be potter for everything. The chaymisa al Eved, the Nakim Yinakim, but come with Rabbi Minabi, feel like Hasu by Shin and Eric, Kamash with the Chaimi Misas, Shahigin Baturin, etc. So we'll see the rest of this Rashi in a sec, toward the bottom of the Rashi. But let's see the rest of this mission first. That if the Evid is coffee slow, if you have an Evid was tied up, so he couldn't get out, Ugadi Samachloi, Venisar Fimo Potter. So you're gonna be Potter because you're gonna be Chaimi Misa for killing this Evid. And Rashi says, "Shayroi k'mamoinoi dim haniach gachelos alav." If you put a gachelos on him, v'nisraf, and he gets burnt, chayiv. Hasem hu dianiach al gabi shor. That's if you put it on the back of the ox. Do hayil ashor litoil, he couldn't get to it. Over here, could have ran away. Says the rest of the Mishnah. If let's say he lit up a large tower, Shumishalim Koma Shabasoicha. He's going to be chayiv everything, Shekain Derech B'nei Adam L'Haniach Babatim. Because that is the manner that a person will leave it in their homes. Okay, let's see the Gemara. Omer Rav Kahana, Machlokes. The whole Machlokes is B'madlik B'toy Shaloi. A person lit a flame in his own property, but then it continued the flame, and it went into someone else's property. Rabbi Yehuda holds that you are chayiv when it comes to anything which is hidden, like kli. Rabbanan patri. So the machlokas is dafka where the fire started in your property, and then it moved on to someone else's. If let's say you actually started the fire in someone else's property, not it was in your property and it moved to someone else's, but you started it in someone else's property. In that situation, l'divrei hakol, you do have to pay. If that's true, at a tiny sefer, why does the sefer of the Mishnah say that that if a person would light up a large tower, why do you have to mention that case, a totally separate case of a large tower? Why don't you just mention the same case and make the distinction within itself? The only machlok is if you let the fire in your property spread. So it's mashma from our Mishnah that's not true, that you would actually, maybe there's a machlokas in that case too. So Elo Amar Rabba Batarti Pligi. They actually argue in both cases. Certainly, if the fire was in your property and it spread to someone else's property, there we agree, yes, there's a machlokas. The machlokas is Yehuda Machayev Atama Be'esh, Rabbanan Savil Machayev. However, Upligi Nabi B'madak B'shil Chaveroi is also machlokas when a person would light it in someone else's property l'chatchila. Rabbi Yehuda Savar Misham Komasha B'Saycha V'Fil Arniki. You have to pay for everything that's in there, even a purse. Rabbanan Savri Kalim, when it comes to Kalim, Shedarkin L'Hatmin, Begadish, people do hide Kalim in a Gadish. Kigayin Marigin, Uklei Bakar, these different types of items. Rash's Marigin is Kirashim, Nekuvim, beams which have holes in them. Uvehem Yisedais, things like pegs. Uklei Bakar are various vessels for cattle. Huda Mishalim, because a person would use these kalim in that vicinity, and therefore a person would hide these things, and therefore maybe in that situation, Rabban will say you're chayiv. Kalim she'en darklan hatman begadish lo mishalim. However, something which a person typically would not put there, then even the Rabban would say that you're not chayiv. Question 3. Ma nafkamina bein hamadlik b'tayich shaloi v'halcha v'acha b'tayich shel chavero v'bein hamadlik b'tayich shel chavero. If there's a machlokas in either situation. So the answer is not going to be the Rabbanan. The patu b'tamoin, he paturs tamoin, the hamadlik b'tach shaloi, that if he started in his own place, pater, ach al hakelim shedark l'hatman. Mashenkin b'madlik b'tach shalchaveroi, mashenkin when he pumfakert, that he started lighting it b'shel chaveroi. So the nafkamina is if he started the fire on his property, or if he started already in someone else's property, if the distinction of the Rabbanan, that he'll say you only pay when it comes to things which are kalim and which are typically hidden in that area, but if not. Taraban. Hamadak as a gadish. Let's see, question TB20, maybe the exact same question, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Ma din hatamoin be'esh, believe it or Yehuda, believe it or Rabbanan, b'madak b'tach shalo, u'madak b'tach shalchaver u'maskana. So they holds a machlokas in either situation. So Rabbi Yehuda, chayav al koil, Rabbanan, b'madak b'tach shalo, pater al koil. Whatever, if you lit in your property and then it spread, you're always pater. But madak b'shel chaver on someone else's property, chayav al mashe derech hatmain. You're chayav on things that could be hidden. Upata b'tamain shein darko b'kach. So indeed, the same question. TB 20. Okay, let's go onward here. Tana button. Hamadlik. That's a gadish. Person lights up this granary. V'hayu bo kalim. The Dalku, which is basically our Mishnah. So Yehuda Omer Misham Komashel Hay B'Saychai. Yehuda holds your chayv even on Kalim. Chama Omer Misham El Gadish Shel Chitin Shel Gad O Gadish Shel Sa'arim. Only the wheat and the barley, but not something which is Taman. V'Royin Makam Kalim Ki'uhu Mali Tvua. And we look the place where there's a kli, because you're potted by the kli, as though there's actually tvua in that physical space. So therefore, it's not that you're completely potter according to the Shitas Rabbanon, but you don't have to pay for the kli, but you have to pay for the couple of dollars of extra for where that of the space that was held up or taken by these kalim. V'rayin makom kalim kilu malik tvua. As we continue to Samach Beis One Aleph, b'medivor mamurim, when the Chachamim say this, b'madim b'tay shaloi, if he lit in his own property, that's the chiluk. of a madik b'tag shel chaver, if he lit in his friend's property already, then mishalim, maybe not divrei kol mishalim kol ma, or maybe not kol ma shehoy b'seicho, you're chayiv what is there. So that is what that means. Says Rashi, Rabbi mataritz lo tamei b'kilim shadark l'hatmin begadish. We're talking about again kalim in which are being hidden there, which are typically found in that area. Moder Rabbi Huda Chachamim, Rabbi Huda, who says you would be chayiv, he'll agree b'mashil makam chaveroi l'hagadish gadish v'higdish v'hitmin. So let's say you gave permission for this individual to be able to utilize this gadish, and then he hid items. Shem Shalom El Demei Gadish Bovad. In that situation, you only have to pay the value of the Demei Gadish Bovad. Says Rashi, Im Habiru Bal Hasada, if the Bal Hasada burns this up, Toli Kabule El Netirusa de Gadish. Lahagdish Chitim, let's say it was given permission to put wheat there, V'hidgish Sa'irin, but instead he put barley, or for that matter, Sa'irin V'hidgish Chitin V'chifan B'Sa'irin, Sa'irin V'chifan B'chitin, Sa'irin V'chifan B'chitin, that you had barley but you covered it over with wheat, Shem Shalom El Demei Sa'irin Bovad. You only pay for the value of the barley. Says Rashi, even though you're given permission to put wheat there, you only pay barley. I only saw barley. That's why I wasn't so careful. So the fact that it was really wheat, but you covered up with barley, so you only have to pay the value of barley, which is less expensive than wheat, because it was covering it up, and therefore the guy said, okay, it's going to get destroyed, so I'll pay the value of barley. Okay, and also, where we said is he was only given permission for a pile, not to put the kli inside, so he's pater for the kli. A person who gives a dinner zav to a woman, Yermala, his hari boy shel kesavu, be very careful because this is a silver coin, it's really gold. His ikasai meshalemas dinner zahav. If there's any damage, she has to pay dinner zav, even though it's only really silver. Mishum Yermala, because he could have said to her, "My havilech gabe de zekta. What is this doing by you? That it got destroyed." And Rashi says, "Biadayim shesarafta." It's like it got destroyed by your hands. V'lodami l'mashal makom achaveroi l'hagdish sa'arim v'higdish chitin. It's not comparable to the place where you gave this person permission to be able to make a pile of wheat and then ended up really being barley, or vice versa. The amr l'el, we said before, you only pay for the value of barley. The mavir lo mazik bi'adayim hu, because the one who made the fire was not a mazik bi'adayim el poisheya. There was an element of negligence, as the pasuk says, ki seita ish ma'atzma. Okay. Pasha boy, let's say she was negligent, lo shimarto kederach hashemim v'avad. So she lost this object because she wasn't watching it properly. So she has to pay back just the silver, that which she lost. The amrle, because she could say in the tirusa the kaspa kabilisi alai, I was mekam myself because it is silver, a smaller, lower level of shmira of silver. The tirusa dahavul kabilai, I didn't accept myself that higher level, in fact, because it was silver. So Amrle Mordechai Rav Ashi Atoin, you bidarava masnisula anan memasnisa pashiton. From a masnisa, we're able to explain this in the name of Rava. That chitin, if you have wheat, the chipan b'sa'arin, you cover it up with barley, or sa'arin v'chipan b'chitin, and m'shalom el demei sa'arin bilvad. Even though, again, it was really wheat there, so certainly if it's barley, all barley, and just a little bit of wheat in the top, you're going to have to pay for the value of the barley. But even if it was really wheat, and you just covered the very, very top with wheat, still you only have to pay the value of for care. Let me say again. There was a pile of wheat, and on the top you covered with barley, so only had to pay for barley. Alma Armalena Tirusa Desari Kabiliolai. He only accepted it upon himself to watch barley, which is a smaller level of shmir. Hachanami Armalei Nitirusa Dehavul Kabiliolai. I didn't accept them by myself, the higher level of shmir on gold, but rather silver, and therefore she only has to pay back. Silver gets lost. Amarav. Shalmis Milsa Rabbi Huda. I heard a matter regarding the opinion of Rabbi Huda. It was a little bit around Rabbi Huda but the Masnisin. But I don't recall exactly what it is. Amar Shmuel, Yada Abba Mashmiele, because you Abba don't know what you heard. Rabbi Huda the Mechayev al Niski Talmud Be'esh. We're talking about according to the Rabbi Huda, who holds that when it comes to a fire, you're chayav by tamoin, even though it's like a kli which is hidden, you're still chayav for those damages. Also, tekanas nigzel be'ishoy. So he made a tekana for the nigzel, the one who had the item stolen, be'ishoy. Says Rashi, kihechi the tiknu rabbanan lenigzel lishava kamagazo. We can make the nigzel swear how much was stolen from him, but yitol, and he'll be able to take. As we see him at the Shuas, El Nishmoyim B'Naitlin. So there's cases where normally you're supposed to make a shvuah and not pay. However, someone who's a gazlan or someone who's chayshal shvuah, for example, that individual will make a shvuah and take. Boya Meimer. Also tekanas nigzal b'masor olo. Do we make this tekana that for the nigzal that he can make a shvuah to take? Does that also apply b'masor when it comes to someone who is an informer? So Libidman Diamer Lo Daininan Dina de Garmi, the one who says we're not Dain Dina de Garmi, which is in Parak Geisel Michael, Lo Tiboilach. That's not a question. After all, the Mesirus Nami Lo Daininan, that when it comes to an informer, we also don't learn such a drush, and therefore, if you're Dain Dina de Garmi, if you're not Dain Dina de Garmi about maybe bichai because of something which was indirect, so in this situation, there's no question to be pot there. The one who is dayan, also the kanas nigzul b'masar. Do we actually make this the kana for the nigzul when it comes to an informer? Dimishtaba of a shakel that he can make a shua and take. Olo teku. Hahu gavra de botash b'kasefta. There was a person who was pushed money into a type of box. Rashi says an argaz, where silver is there. The charev of his friends, so shadi banar, and it was put into the river. Also, Mare, the master came. Yomer hachi v'hachi havi libegavoy. This is what happened. So Yosef Ravashi become ayin, but he was thinking about this, looking at the matter. Ki hagav the man was the din. So Emily Rabbi Rav Achabar the Rebbe. Some say it was Rav Achabar the Rebbe Rav Ashi. Lav, is it not Hainu Masnisin? It's the same thing of the Mishnah. What's that? Dinan. That they admit b'madlik es habira, that if you light up a fire, shemasham kol mashabasaycha, you're chayav whatever's there. Shekain derech maniyanam haniach babatim, that the person will put these things in their houses. So maybe this in itself is a raya that if a person did this and pushed monies into a box, that this is something in which a person would do, and therefore maybe we should see misham kol mashabasaycha. So no, zuze. If we're talking about he's claiming for money, so hachanami, you're right. But hachamaskina de katayin marganisa. There's tayin for a special jewel. Mi manchi inshi marganisa bikasefta. Does a person actually put these things into a money box? Olo teku. Amrle Rav Yemu Ravashi. Tayin kasa the kasva b'miramai. If a person is tayin kasa the kasva, silver cup, babira, and it was in a tower, what's the din? So Malay chazina, we ask ourselves a question practically. Inish Omidu, is this a wealthy guy? The Islay Casa de Kasba, they actually possibly could own such a very expensive goblet. Inami Inish mehimnahu, if he's a trustworthy person, the mafkidi inshi gabe, that sometimes even if he's not rich, but because he's so trusted, people will give him things to watch, then mishtaba v'shakol. So in those cases, he can make a shvu and take. Ve'ilo lav kol kimine, but if not, not believed. Amalu Rav Adabaredu Rav Amil Rav Ashi Mabin Gazlan Lechamson. So he says, just a practical kasha. One difference between a Gazlan and a Chamson, they both take publicly. So Amalei Chamson Yoav Demei. A Chamson at least pays for it. The Gazlan Yoav Demei doesn't give anything; he just steals. Taisus over here says, Mabin Gazlan Chamson Belishna Dekra in Chilk B'neim. According to the pasuk, there's really no difference. Hacha keboy Mabin Gazlan D'Rabbanan L'Chamson D'Rabbanan. So Amalei Yoav Demei, if you give him money, if he pays for things, Chamson Karisle, why would he be called a Chamson? We learn in Bava Basra that if you force someone to make to sell an item, he's Tluy of a Zovin, it's a good sale. So why would he be called a Chamson? So Lokasha, even though it's true, Tluy of a Zovin, Zvini, if he eventually says Roitzani. But if he doesn't say Roitzani, if he's forced to be given the money, so then he's considered to be a Chamson. Question 4. Batish bekasafta dechaverai. So if a person pushed money into a box, v'shadi ben nahara, it was thrown into the sea, him neman litoin de marganisa hayasham. He's believed to say that there was actually jewels there. So the Gemara says that's the boya delo ifshita. It's a teku, okay. And ha'im neman litain de kasva ha'liba bira shenisrafa. Can you say that there was the silver goblet in this tower? So he said, Adam Omid, if he's wealthy, or Neman, he's a trustworthy person, that people give him Bikadain, then he'll be believed. But just any old person, then he's not going to be believed. Okay. Okay. Question TB21. TB21. So this is Samach Beis Man Aleph. Let's get a pen actually that works. So the question is, a nice and l'chaver dinner zahav lishmor. You gave your friend gold to watch, okay, or to a woman or whatever it may be. The amrlo shehu shel kesef. So even though it was silver, but it was really gold. So actually, let me see. So the amrullah, you said to her, his harubo shel kesavu, his zikasu mishlemus ma dinner zahav, because we're talking about it was actually gold. Mishum diarmale ma have pashabo mishlemus ma pashabo mishlemus shel kesef. Diarmale netus to the kasu kabulibul and netus to the zahav kabulilai. So she could say, I was only willing to accept the shmira of silver, but not of gold. So let's look at question 21 again. There's going to be a dinner of Heziku or Pashaboy. So let's say there was damages or she was negligent in that situation. And again, it was, you actually gave gold, but you told her it was silver. So what's the din if it was damages or she was negligent? So it depends. Haziku bi'adayim misham shel zahav. It was a hezek bi'adayim, then it's gold. Pasha mishmirav, she was just negligent in watching it. The oven misham shel kasef. In that situation, she would only pay silver only. Okay, this is TB21. Okay. All right, let's continue on Samach Beis. We're going to see this last Mishnah, and then we'll stop by the new parak. Says the Mastisim. gates, if a person is banging on let's say an anvil, and they're banging and sparks are shooting out, vihizik, and it causes someone to get damaged, so chayev. So this is a famous Gemara, which is in second parak in Shabbos about Hanukkah. Gamal shahaya tain pishtin. So you have a camel that's carrying flax, but over b'rshus harabim, and it's traveling in the street. The nichtas pishtanai, the pishtan which is on the animal, went actually went into someone's private store. Vidalku b'neiroi shel chenveni, and there was a lantern that was lit, and it caused the all this pishtan to get lit up. The hidakas abira, and also it caused the whole store, the whole tower to get destroyed. So Baal Gamal Chayev. So the Baal Gamal is Chayev that the animal did this. However, if that candle was not in the store, but was out of the store, that shouldn't have been there. Therefore, Hachenvini Chayev, if not for his store, it's his store, but if the pishtan that was destroyed. However, when it comes to Chanukah, we're potter because a person's allowed to put the Chanukiyah outside for pursuing Nisa. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda, after Rabbi Yehuda says that your potter over there must be near Chanukah mitzvah hanicha b'toich asara. It must be that you put it within 10 tfachim. You put it all the way down to the ground. That it could be way higher. Why is he potter? You know there's camels always in this neighborhood, so you should have put your Chanukiyah way, way, way up above any camel. If it's a raya that the Chanukiyah, the menorah, is supposed to be put low. So Amri low. Really, it could be higher. So my amart, so yiboylach la nucha lamalam gamal broichvoy. So you can say, well, 1 second, if he knew there's all these camels, why didn't he put the Chanukiyah so low? Should have put it really high. Kivan de b'mitzvah ka'asik, because he's involved in a mitzvah. Kolihai lo atrachuha rabbanon. The rabbanon did not want to be matriach you, and therefore, for that reason, the din is that it really could be below 10. It may be preferably, but it could be higher or lower. We're not going to make a big deal, but we're not going to make him have to figure out how to put the Chanukiyah way, way above the height of a camel, because otherwise he may not want to do the mitzvah. Rav Kahana, Darish, Rav Nasim, Bar Min Yomi, Mishmid, the Rebbe Tanchum, Ner Chanukah, Shanichel, Malmias, Esrim, Alma, Psul, Kasukah, Ukama boy. And this is the beginning of Masechtas Sukkah, beginning of Masechtas Erevin, that when it comes to the Chanukiyah should not be above 20 amos. And if it is, it's psula. Now, even though over there in Erevin it says Yemayit, you should lower the beam, the horizontal beam, so you can carry within that mavoi. When it comes to Sukkah, it's Sukkah Shemal Masamel Mabas Psula. So we made a distinction between the two over there in the Gemara. So let's look at this Taisus. Teva the Havilu Yamemer Yamayit. Over here should say just lower the Chanukiyah, as we found in the beginning of the Sukkah. Mavoi the Rabbanan Tandad Kata, because Mavoi is the Rabbanan. So the menorah is also letting the Ner Chanukah is the Rabbanan. So it should tell us what to do. The Yeshom Yeshim the Boy Yamemer Kasukah Nakat Lashim Psula. Because it mentions like a sukkah, so it mentions language of psul, which is by the din of a sukkah. Because it would be a little bit more lengthy. You have to extinguish it, and lower it, yadlik, and relight it. Why? Because so the point Taisa says is it's possible that it's not just enough for you to lower it. Therefore, you can't use that same language as is found as it's found by Eruvin, because you would have to blow it out and relight it, and therefore it's just easier just to say it that way. Question 5. Let's just put it higher. So there's two answers. Either that the Chanukah is supposed to be within 10 tvachim, or kivadim b'mitzvah kasik kuli hai lo terchu rabbanon. Hanulach kainis. We're now going to continue in tomorrow's daf, the famous 7th parak Maruba, Midas Tashumi Kesem, and the Midas Tashumi Arba B'chamisha, Ad Kan.